You know that feeling? Like your brain has way too many tabs open? You've probably been told that being pulled in a million different directions is a weakness. But what if I told you it's actually your greatest strength? I mean, does your house look a little like this? A guitar collecting dust, a website you started coding but never finished, baking tools you swore you'd use all the time, and now a sudden urge to learn, I don't know, pottery? If that hits home, you probably feel this really specific kind of shame, right? That nagging thought that you just can't pick one thing and stick with it. Well, we've all heard that old saying, a jack of all trades is a master of none. And man, do we use it to beat ourselves up. But here's the thing, we've been told a half-truth. The full original quote, as you can see right here, completely flips the entire meaning on its head. So here's the big idea I want you to walk away with. That scattered feeling, it's not a flaw, it's a feature. It's actually a sign of a highly adaptive mind. See, you're not failing to specialize. Your brain is getting you ready for a world that changes on a dime. Hey, and if this is already starting to resonate with you, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We talk about ideas just like this all the time, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss what's coming up. Okay, so to really unpack this, we have to talk about the huge lie we were all sold. I mean, why do we feel so much pressure to just pick one lane and stay in it forever? Well, for most of the last century, the world was what experts call a kind learning environment. Think about a game like golf, right? The rules are set in stone, the feedback is instant, you practice your swing for 10,000 hours, you get really good, you win. Simple. That world rewarded specialization. But the world today, it's what's called a wicked environment. The rules, they're changing all the time. And that's the danger of being a hyper-specialist. Look, in a stable, predictable world, standing on one single solid pillar makes you a king. But in our crazy, chaotic world, that one pillar makes you incredibly fragile. Because if that thing crumbles, you've got nowhere else to stand. And this is where we get to your secret weapon. Because what feels like chaos in your mind isn't chaos at all. It's actually the foundation of your superpower. I'm talking about the M-shaped mind and the power of synthesis. So the cool psychological term for this is far transfer. Now specialists, they get really good at what's called near transfer. You know, solving the same old problems with the same old tools. But your brain, with all its scattered interests, gets wired for something way more powerful. Taking a concept from one area and applying it to a completely different one. Okay, this is a perfect example. Just think about this for a second. A web developer who also happens to be a beekeeper. On paper, that makes no sense, right? Those skills have zero overlap. But that experience with living, organic systems, it gives them this gut feeling for how complex things grow in a way a pure coder just never could. They're not just banging out lines of code, they're cultivating an entire digital ecosystem. That's the magic of far transfer. So let's be real, you might feel like a bit of an imposter because you're not the world's #1 expert in any one thing. But you're totally missing the point. Your value isn't in how deep you go in one area. It's in the connections, the synthesis you can build between all of them. Okay, I get it. This all sounds great in theory, but what about the practical side of things? What about the burnout? That awful feeling that you're falling behind when you see your friends climbing up one single career ladder while you feel like you're constantly starting over. Right, that leads us to the actual practical solution. The secret isn't to try and do everything at once. It's a strategy called serial mastery. You see, for years, the big idea was to be T-shaped. You know, a little bit of knowledge about a lot of things and one really deep specialty. But that model doesn't fit you. You are M-shaped. You have multiple pillars of deep knowledge, all connected by this incredible bridge of curiosity. Now, the key here is you can't build all those pillars at the same time. That's just a recipe for burnout. Instead, you have to start thinking of your life in seasons. Maybe your 20s are your art season and your 30s become your programming season. You go deep on one pillar at a time, and you just trust that your amazing brain will weave all the connections together later on. There's this fantastic story about a 53-year-old guy who finally figured this out. He just stopped trying to choose between his love for art and his knack for programming. He decided to let programming pay the bills, but he purposefully kept his work week manageable. Why? To save his energy for building his other pillars: music, philosophy, game design, on nights and weekends. That, right there, is the M shape in action. Okay, there's one last really powerful idea I want to leave you with. It reframes all your scattered skills not just as a creative advantage, but as a critical safety net. And believe it or not, it comes straight from biology. The idea is called redundancy. Now, I know in the corporate world, redundancy is a terrifying word, but in nature, it's one of the most brilliant survival strategies there is. Having multiple ways to do something important isn't wasteful at all. It's a massive strength. Take elephants, for example. It turns out they rarely get cancer. Why? Because they have tons of genetic redundancy. They have multiple copies of the same cancer-fighting gene. So if one copy fails, another one just kicks in and takes over. It's nature's ultimate backup plan. So let's bring that back to our world. What happens when something like AI comes along and completely automates a huge part of an industry? Well, the person who is only a software engineer might be terrified. But you, the person who's a software engineer but also spent a year learning electrical wiring, who knows how to fix an HVAC unit, and who could probably teach English because that was just another season of your life, all those varied interests are your redundant systems. See, you haven't been wasting your time. You've been building strategic adaptability. You've been weaving a safety net of skills that means no matter what happens, you've always got a pivot. You're not fragile. You're basically unbreakable. So please stop looking at that graveyard of hobbies and feeling ashamed. Those weren't failures. They were semesters in a university you built for yourself. You were never meant to fit into one tiny box. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that other people can't even see. So if you're ready to start building your bridge, make sure you're subscribed. And I really want to hear from you on this one. Head down to the comments and share some of the pillars of your M. Let's see all the amazing combinations that are out there.